By being more personal, you're creating longevity and long-term growth in your business. Not only are they going to be a follower of what you give and the value you share, but they are fans. I like the difference between a follower and a fan. Someone who follows you, someone who comes in because they need the information that you share, but they don't feel like they have to stick around for anything else. Fans are going to celebrate you as a creator who's going to celebrate just seeing you, who's going to celebrate the changes they see that's happening in your life, in addition to loving the type of content and tips you share. They're going to be referrals. They're going to be people hanging out in your DMs. They're going to be people who just want to be a part of the brand that you're building. Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratterman, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies, and welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that has been asked of me a lot lately. And I think that for any of the listeners that are regularly listening in to me talk about content, how to create true community, what's different about having a strong relationship with social media and being able to feel as if it's empowering to them. This isn't going to be too much of a crazy subject, but I think it's important for me to lean in and be able to say, this is a bit of a tough subject. I can understand that whenever I am telling you to open yourself up online, it might feel a little bit daunting of what if I don't want people to know me? So today's episode is about a topic that in general, constantly, as of late, I've been asked about, and it can truly affect how any entrepreneur, from even getting started with building a community online, or even if they are just having trouble getting consistent engagement, this particular topic, it can be the thing that makes the biggest difference. So we're talking about how personal you need to get, or I encourage you to get, when you are sharing in your business. Now, before I directly answer that question, let's take a true look at why we are even being asked to be more open on social media. As a business, you want to take a look at other successful brands and what key traits they hold to build a really powerful presence and community. So according to data, the 5 key factors that these magnetic brands have is trust, relatability, brand recognition, aka they know your name, they know your brand name. It's not something they're like, oh, what is it? What is it? They know exactly who you are. Clarity, they know exactly what you do and how you can help them, or what your product can do for them. And connection, they feel connected in some way to what you share, how you share, who you are. Those are 5 key factors of what truly can make you a magnetic brand right now. So whenever we're talking about the subject of getting personal, it has its roots in all 5 of those key factors of what it means to be magnetic as a brand. It's about having some personal touch to each and every one of those. So I thought it was important to start with these, because when I get to ask you to share more of who you are and your energy, there's usually this but why? Why do I got to do this? Understand that it's worth breaking through some of these traits of how you use social media, or is worth breaking through some of these limits, so that you can create naturally these magnetic connections through the way in which you share online. So as consumers who've had social media for more than a decade, our radar is more attuned to brands who are genuine. I like to use the word genuine instead of authentic. I think sometimes when things are overused, they lose their meaning. And the idea is, with what people talk about with authenticity, is simply genuinely sharing or getting behind what you're sharing. So I use the word genuine just to put it out there. But in general, the more that we view social media, our radar is more attuned to brands who are genuine versus ones that are just posting for sales, likes, that alone. So in short, social media is becoming more, and I do this all the time because I love this. Social media is becoming more, quote, social. Like if you are hiding behind tips, if you are hiding behind ads or very specific like sales oriented posts, is that truly social, or are we watching an infomercial through your content? So this is the idea, is that if you want to really make a difference on social media, it's about being more social. So social media is about relationship building. It's about conversations. It's about sharing your short and long-term purpose so that we know what you're about. This approach is so much different than past approaches where social was solely about getting followers, likes, and pushing sales. We know better. We want more from our brands, and we want to feel as if we know them. Now, this should be exciting. In the pursuit of becoming a magnetic brand, consumers are asking to see real people and understand what drives them. But what commonly comes up is that prospective clients will then say, I don't want to have to share my whole life on social media just to get clients. So within that question, right, within what I just said there, is that there's a sense of seeing people get really personal online or getting really vulnerable online that might not jive with certain clients, and that's okay. But the idea that we're going to get across through today is that you get to decide what your level of personality is. So just giving you an idea of the kind of conversations that have been coming up that inspired this episode. In the past couple of weeks, I've had a health coach who decided to take a long social media break because she didn't want to have to share her own health struggles, her own things that she's working through. She felt that she had to do that or it wouldn't have made sense. And she was just having absolute anxiety around being able to share that part of herself. I also had a new entrepreneur that was like sitting in between, like not certain of where her next steps were, and was feeling that if she wasn't perfect about them, then why would she post about it? Or people would think less of her. So the idea that we got to show up a very specific way as in our own personal personalities, right? I also had a sprinter who was so triggered by how much people are being open books in their feeds, and she was like, I got to do the same thing. I got like I would like to do it this way, but clearly everyone else is doing it doing it this other way, and I can't keep up with that. So the idea of like this comparison of watching somebody else and the way in which they use social made her go, I don't want to do social at all. I even had a marketing mastery client that was believing that the only way for her to grow was that she had to do 20 Instagram stories a day, sharing every little detail about her daily life. Even too, in the past, I've also had clients who say that, like, I want to share my personal life, but my partner won't let me post them. So I really can't get personal. So a lot of these kind of conversations come up, like it's common. It's going, I don't want to have to share what I'm struggling with right now. I think I need to be perfect before I share. I've got to be like somebody else, or if that's what being personal means, it doesn't jive with me. So clearly it's not for me. That it looks like a lot of freaking work to share every aspect of my life. And also too going, the only way for me to get personal is for me to share my relationships. So there's so many blocks, limits, and the way in which people are seeing what it means to show and be more open with themselves and how they are leaders online, that we can't even get into the conversation. So this is where this episode is going to come in. This idea is not simple to implement, clearly, but these are the 3 things that I know absolutely can help someone think a little bit differently about adding personal into their personal brand. First and foremost, how personal you get is completely, and I want to be very clear here, completely dependent on you. You have full control over this, nobody else. So let's put this into context. We all have friends who are open books, who share everything. We know who they talked to that day. We know what they ate. We know what bands they're loving. They just tend to want to share and be open. And we love that for them. They're so open. We feel like we know them. It's fantastic. But in the real world, do we ever think that we have to be just like them? That we have to match that energy? That the only way to be a human in the world is to be as much of an open book as your friend is, or as this other person is? If you are not an open book, you don't have to be. If you are, you continue to get to do that. Being genuine is about bringing your real, in real life self into your social media content. So a big part of that sentence is that there was never the word all in there. So please take note. I didn't say you need to bring all of yourself. I said you need to bring your real, in real life self into your social media content. So if that means right now that you're an open book, that it's easy for you to go for 20 Instagram stories, that it's easy for you to share some deeper meanings with you or what's going on in your day, go for it. Fantastic. That is who you are. That's who you naturally are. So bringing that to your stories is fantastic. But for all of you who go, I don't want to be that, what kind of characteristics do you bring to your relationships in the real world that you haven't been bringing into your social? So this is the level of personal we're trying to get. So if you tend to be, I don't know, more mysterious, let's say you open up when you get to know people more, there's a different approach you can take. There might be a way in which you're deciding, okay, I don't want to get that personal, but I know that I can share my favorite TV shows. I'm okay with sharing myself after work. I'm okay with sharing kind of the story that led me to building this program. I don't have to share every detail, but I know that I'm going to bring some of myself. And then if I get more comfortable, maybe I bring more. But you got to start somewhere, knowing that what I already shared, getting personal, is going to only help you build that community. The best strategy for building community and attracting easier sales is simply to be known by your followers. They feel as if they know you enough so that in general, they're going to know what they expect from your day-to-day. They're going to know what they could recommend to you, or who friends that might get support from you. The idea is that they're not just someone who follows your tips, your guidance. They know you. They're a fan of you. By being more personal, you're creating longevity and long-term growth in your business. Not only are they going to be a follower of what you give and the value you share, but they are fans. I like the difference between a follower and a fan. Someone who follows you, someone who comes in because they need the information that you share, but they don't feel like they have to stick around for anything else. Fans are going to celebrate you as a creator, who's going to celebrate just seeing you, who's going to celebrate the changes they see that's happening in your life, in addition to loving the type of content and tips you share. They're going to be referrals. They're going to be people hanging out in your DMs. They're going to be people who just want to be a part of the brand that you're building. Yes, they're going to be more likely to be people who buy from you. And they're also going to be more likely to be people who refer other clients to you. So opening up allows clients to really decide, oh, I'm a fan of her, not just of what she shares. I'm a fan of the way this brand does things, not just about their products. Creating that personal connection is what makes the biggest difference. So it's important to be more open so that you can truly create connection and relatability with your audience. But again, I want you to hear what I'm saying here. How personal you get is a sliding scale. For somebody, it might be 100%. For somebody else, it's 20%. You decide where you fall on that scale. You decide where you're at, knowing that I challenge myself to get more personal, and this is what I feel comfortable with doing right now, knowing that this is going to be helpful. So let me give you a direct example. I don't share my relationship very often. Even for many of you, if you've listened to all of the episodes, I mentioned my fiance from time to time, but he's not a key part of the way in which I talk about my life, right? There's a reason for it. He's pretty much asked, like, don't make me a focal point of your content. I don't love that. I don't want to be in that. He's like, I'm happy to be a part of it, but I don't, I like just putting it out there. Like there are other people who their relationship is a key part of the way they sell their business. And that's all right. That's their choice. And I would hope or believe that their partners are in agreement of doing that. Right. So being able to know that I will infrequently post them, you guys get to hear about my relationship from time to time. It's a little bit infrequent. It's a little bit mysterious, and that's okay. But my relationship and what happens in my day-to-day stays with us. It's sacred to me. It's important for me. And then I'll decide if I want to share something later with getting the quick okay from the fiance, making sure he feels good about it. My magic for getting personal is that my clients know everything from my favorite shows, my goals. I like to be really open with how I'm feeling day to day so it can help them see how to work through their moods and be able to continue to build their business. But I've shared many of my personal stories. What drives me to do it? He doesn't always have to be a part of it. So somebody else's personal is going to be sharing all about their relationships, who they're dating, what they're doing. And I applaud them and I love that. That's not my version. And that's okay because my clients do know me. They just know me, they know me through different ways. I get personal. A second piece within this of how to get more personal within your content is to simply hop off your pedestal. So one thing about really getting into is the part that gets people caught up the most is when creators share from a pedestal instead of putting it into real life context or process. We tend to see this when we have those social media gurus who keep telling us to share value. And in general, we see all of our feed, the similar tips and tricks use and reuse all over the feed. Like, it's just like, you should try this. And then we see two days or two spots later, you should be doing the exact same thing. Like somebody else is saying you must. So think about whenever you hear on the story or on in reels or on TikToks where someone goes, this is what you must do, or what you're doing is wrong. If that's the only note they're hitting, they're kind of on a pedestal. They're trying to tell you that you do something wrong and they've got the solution. So if in general, the way you can check in is that if the only word you're really using in your content right now is you may be talking from a pedestal. You may be deciding that you're the expert, you're above your followers, you're above the people who need support from you, and you're talking down. So that's a sense of, we don't want to only talk about that. I want to be clear. You can absolutely still create content that here's something that's going to help you, or talking through that. But the point here is that you are creating a pedestal when you only are talking to your followers about what they need to change instead of embodying it, sharing it, showing it. So to get more personal on your social media, it's about making an important switch that whenever you're trying to share a process, instead of only talking about how to, you say how I changed my mindset, how I help clients do this. That's going to be something that makes a difference for the fact that we build more trust and clarity with our audience. Of course, we're still sharing value in that, but we're showing instead of telling. So consider the difference between, let's say, when you go to a doctor, and this has definitely happened to me, but when you go to a doctor for your annual checkup and he's telling you, well, you know what, you should be cutting down on your sugar, you need to lose weight, but you're sitting there going, okay, yeah, sure, I know I need to. But you look at him and he's standing behind his clipboard with, a little pot belly. And you're kind of going he's got a lot of balls to give me that kind of advice when he can't follow it himself. The advice that the doctor might be giving you isn't wrong, but he's not exactly showing that he knows what it takes or what it means to be in good health. By being a doctor, you have the knowledge, but I'm going to tend to trust another doctor who is walking the talk of the thing he's asking, or she's asking, from her patients. So this is the idea, is that as instead of just sharing knowledge around the internet, it's also sharing how we embody that knowledge, how we've made it a part of our day, or how we've helped clients embody it as well. This can all be a part of building that trust by getting a little more personal. So by allowing your clients to see the behind the scenes and to show more than you tell, you are allowing yourself to be seen as an expert by experience, not just by knowledge. I really find the second one is so important. Like if you in general, like take a look at, let's say you planned out 5 pieces of content this week and 2 of them are how-tos. I want to challenge you right now to go like, can I just do a how I do this? Like how I help clients do this? Like switch this around. So I'm not just spitting facts, but go like how I make this work for me or how I make this work for my clients. It's going to make all of the difference for someone to see the process instead of see the tips. Play with this a little bit. The next piece here, and I want to be clear, I'm saying this in the right order. Preach what you practice. Not practice what you preach what you practice. So within getting off the pedestal, it also leads right into what it truly means to step into a leadership role as a brand. And that's allowing yourself to be seen in progress, not as a perfect role model. So very similar to the pedestal, but really bringing the humanity back to being a magnetic brand. Humans are imperfect by design, and that's what allows us to trust, relate, and connect with each other. So this means there's room to share what you are challenged by, the triumphs you're ready to celebrate, the everyday rituals that empower you. There's just an opening to share more personally that may not perfectly relate to your program or brand, or your programs or your products. Being able to go, yes, I have these, but also this is what allows me to build this. This is what is a part of my story that encourages me to be the best damn coach for you, or encourages me to create the best damn skincare. Being able to really think about story, really be able to think about what empowers you is a part of this. Almost always, when I start talking about preaching what you practice, I get the imposter syndrome discussion. That's the thing that comes up right away. And this idea of sharing guidance or advice online is like, am I really qualified to do this? So something I just want to throw out there is that truly there's 2 things that I want to remind you of if you're ever feeling imposter syndrome, at least in this context, is that when you feel imposter syndrome, you're essentially just challenging yourself to do something you haven't done before or that you rarely do. It would be odd for it to feel natural on the first try. It's good to feel like an imposter in this sense. So absolutely going, yeah, I'm an imposter because I've never done this before. We're gonna try something new here. But number 2 is within that imposter syndrome is actually just debunking it altogether and knowing that you are worthy of sharing what you know where you are at right now. The only way we advance as humans, as people, as communities, is to simply share what we're about. So by allowing yourself to be seen in progress, potential followers and clients alike are going to see themselves on your path. If they are a few steps behind, if they are in the same place, so whatever it might be, they're going to be like, oh, I relate to her, or oh, that's where I want to get to. But opening yourself to be seen that way allows them to make that decision for themselves. So don't expect perfectionism from yourself, but do see the value in how you create a ripple effect for others by simply sharing where you are in business and in life, what you've overcome, how you celebrate. I say this a lot to my clients because I like to remind you all, but we are goddesses in progress. Embrace it. Share with your other gods and goddesses among you. Make sure that just sharing is absolutely going to make a difference in the world. And that's where we're going to start from. So preach what you practice and show that yourself in progress. That's going to allow you to get a little more personal. So getting personal online is so worth it. You truly create connection, relatability, trust, brand recognition, and clarity with your potential or current community. These are the characteristics of a magnetic brand. So the way you get personal is absolutely up to you. I shared it through this episode, right? So take what I shared here to reflect on what level of personal sharing is most comfortable to you. Hop off your pedestal and show your process, and then leave perfectionism at the door by preaching what you practice. If you are looking to build this magnetic brand, to have a community around the content that you share, to make sales easier by the way in which you present yourself online, this is one of the main key pieces of what I share in my signature program, Marketing Mastery. So we focus on creating a memorable brand, an energizing offer suite ready to sell, and a dynamic visibility through your content creation. So our next round is going to be starting on September 22nd. Right now, as I'm recording this episode, we're about to enter into early bird. So if you are interested, you want to talk about it, of course you can DM me, but I'm going to drop into the show notes the link so you can see everything about the program. It is my 12-week business activation program. It's my longest standing program, and I love it so much because it gets people so clear. They get more consistent income month over month. And in general, I think I'd hope, at least from this episode, that you know that I want you to love social and to see it as a tool for you to build a meaningful business and of course, generate wealth in the process. So until next time, live a little more limitless.